There he is.
How you doing?
I can't believe it, man.
Well, we made it here. How's it going? I love your hat.
Thank you. What is it? Oh, Dodgers. Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
I just.
Diehard Dodger fan here.
Here we go.
Where are you at in LA?
Do you know? It's a little town in Santa Monica. A little part of it called Santa Monica. I mean, excuse me, Ocean Park. Ocean Park.
Yeah, I know exactly. I mean, I grew up in Encino.
Over the mountain.
I grew up Stephen S. Wise and went to Milken and all that stuff, so I know the area.
Wow. So, and wait a second. Were you not touring? Where were you this summer?
Mostly here. We've done a couple of things around Denver, around Colorado, and in Boulder, and we were in Washington D.C. and Maryland, and doing a couple things back east. But it's mostly just the holidays are so early, so it's preparing for the holidays, and that's that. So I've been in Denver a lot.
I love Denver. That is totally God's country. I mean, as much as I love the beach, blue sky, and mountains and ocean.
Yeah.
When I speak about mountains, I'm referring to the Santa Monica 2,000-foot mountains, not the not the big boys up there. I love. What's that church? There's a great church in the middle of. I'm trying to remember the park that's right outside of Denver. National Park. It's not Estes.
There's Rocky Mountain National Park. There's Estes Park. There's what else is up there?
Well, it's one of those parks where I forgot. I was driving with my buddy Jeff, who lives in Evergreen. You know where that is?
Yeah, of course.
Right. So he's one of the boys, Jewish boys I grew up with at the Orangetown Jewish Center, whose father owned a meat business. So he'd get up every when he was working after college. He'd get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and work from like 3 to 3 in this like van that had like dead animals in it, like pigs. And so he'd pick us all up. We're 21 years old. Pick us all up in Rockland County. We'd all go down to New York in a stinky meat van. It was funny. But
nice.
He moved out to Colorado like as soon as he could. He just left New York and moved to Evergreen. And he actually, because of his knowledge of the meat business and trucking, he opened up his own trucking firm. And he's been out there. He lives on the Continental Divide. And the short of it is, that's a whole backstory for no good reason. But the short of it is that when I was visiting him out there, he would take me through the mountains, through the national parks, and we'd go in, and there was a church on the base of a mountain. And there was a pond, a lake, a mountain lake, which was spectacular. It was frozen over. It was the middle of winter. And when you look up from the back of the church, which is all windows, you see a 15,000-foot mountain. And it's spectacular. I don't know the name of it.
Oh, God, I don't know where that is, though. I'm trying to figure that out. I'm not sure.
Well,
It's beautiful up there, though, that's for sure. So there's probably a lot of those amazing places.
Well, listen, thank you for agreeing to do this recorded interview. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Hey, I have a little special guest here in my office also. Come on over here. Look. Come on, you're looking good. You're looking fine. Come on.
Oh my God, Mikey! Oh, 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 Mikey P. That's my boy, Mikey P. Yo.
What's up, Cantor?
Call me Kenny.
What's up, Kenny?
Dude.
It's just popping by Denver. Gives me a call, and he's like, "Hey, you want to hang out?" Last night, he stayed at our place, and just went for breakfast. And I'm like, "God, I'm actually doing this interview. You gotta come, man."
And I said, you know what? I'm gonna pop out because we did this a few weeks ago. So.
How have you been, my brother?
Great, man. I just got in from. I was in Detroit. I was doing the thing at Camp Tamarack. Did a concert. And, flew in here. I'm going to be at Temple Emmanuel tonight with Rabbi Joe Black, and then Schwader So I came by to kick it, and things are great. Done with the summer camp thing at CLTC, and on my way to the festivals for the rest of the month.
Wow. I'm so glad the summer worked out, and now you're into like getting back to the synagogue jamming life.
Yeah, synagogues and camps and just festivals and stuff. Tours for the fall. But,
which festivals, man?
So I'm performing at Burning Man this year. I got a couple like main stage gigs, which are dope. And then I'm performing at the Israeli Milk and Honey Music Festival at the Highline Ballroom in New York. Headlining it this year.
Woo-hoo!
And
Mikey P.
Some big stuff. So
right.
I don't want to take away from your amazing interview.
Well, listen. Have fun, man. Good to see you.
Good to see you, and I wanted to talk to you anyway, so I'll give you a call, and I wanted to catch up.
All good things, man.
Good Shabbos.
Shabbos.
All right, Mike. Wherever you want, man.
If I want to go to like the...
right now I don't think there's a rehearsal, but you can go into the main sanctuary. Okay. If you ask Lynn or anybody, just turn the lights on or something. Whatever you want. Or we have a little chapel right there.
We have a chapel.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a meeting going to be going on there, but there is a little bit of a chapel. You can take whatever you need, my friend.
How long do you think?
I have no idea. So that'll be great. All right, buddy. All right, I'm all yours.
That was great.
Yeah, right?
Well,
surprise.
Yeah. Actually, can I ask one favor? Sometimes when you lean back, I can't see your face because it's kind of shadowy. Or is there a light around so I can see your punim?
What? I mean, this is about as light as it's going to get. I wonder if I close the shades.
Maybe.
All right. Let's see if that gets a little better.
Oh, it does. It does.
Okay, good.
It's that reflection thing, I guess.
Yeah, probably. All right, here we go. Good.
Well, meanwhile, it's nice to know that, that musicians are bonding, friends.
Yeah, we were. We do bond. We all stick together. This is not a competition thing by any means. We're all out for the greater good, and we become real close. Him and Jay Rappaport, and because we're all featured on Jewish Rock Radio, and we've all really been developing and emerging, with their help, and we all have to support one another because it's, as I said, it's not a competition. We're all out for the greater good, and we can spread the love, right?
You're talking to the right person when you throw out the word love.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we can't do it together. I totally agree. We need that love to lift each other up, and
right.
and that's why I go crazy when I see Mikey, and I see Jay. I had the wonder of speaking to him, and now you. This is really great.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
It's the Jewish world needs to know the people that are actually animating spirit.
I agree with you.
I've always found, and that's why I really enjoy what I'm doing now, after 80 interviews from Jewish lights from around the country and some parts of the world, I really enjoy the way, hearing different people's connections to Judaism, their stories, the lessons learned, the perspectives gained. It's really been an amazing journey for me, and you are a contributor. You're a force. So it's good.
Thank you. I try.
So tell me your story, man. Where did you grow up, and how did you?
I grew up in Los Angeles.
As you said.
Yep. And went to Stephen S. Wise Temple and grew up there. And have to admit, Judaism really was not my thing. I was a baseball player. That was my thing, and it was kind of force-fed upon me to got to go to religious school, you got to go to Hebrew school, and I developed a really wonderful relationship with my rabbi, one of the many at Stephen S. Wise, but Alan Rabishaw, who was there, and we just became so close, and he taught my confirmation class, and he taught 8th grade as well, and it was really wonderful. And I developed a relationship with Robert French, he was the jack of all trades at Stephen Wise. He was my Hebrew teacher, and then kind of went up the ladder. He was assistant executive director. Now he's executive director of a synagogue in New York City. So he's doing really well. But all these guys inspired me, and I decided to switch high schools after freshman year and go to Milken, because being around a Jewish community was so incredibly important to me. Even though I would have absolutely considered myself to be cultural, the prayer and the text, and that didn't do anything for me right away. It was really identity and community, and so that was really life changing. And I started to go to Jewish sleepaway camp as a camper, and I went to Camp Swig, and that's where my parents met. And I loved camp. Camp was my favorite thing in the world, and Shirah was my favorite time. Get to jump around and sing with your friends, and it was so much fun. And I would say in 2000, Mom and Dad said, "You got to get a job, man. You go and do." And so you're going off to college, and I went to San Francisco State my freshman year, and so I decided to go start working at Camp Newman in Northern California, and it was amazing. And I loved my friends, I loved the campers, I loved the community, and I loved the music. So I said, this song leader gig is not a bad gig. And so I basically taught myself how to play guitar, and I would sit on the porch of my cabin with a shirenu and go to town. And it was painful for many to hear, because at that point I didn't sing. I never sang. I mean, I would sing at home. I'd sing Beach Boys stuff at home, but no one would ever hear my voice. And so I just started doing that, and then as I got good enough, I became a song leader at Newman the following year, and took a synagogue job at Rodef Shalom in San Rafael, as well as Temple Akiba in Culver City, and just as a music specialist. And it just all came together. And then I was like, I'm going to start writing some music. And so I wrote about 10 liturgical pieces, and they were borderline horrific. I mean, just not good, very nice music, but nothing I would ever distribute to anybody. And so, then I transferred schools from San Francisco State to Ohio State University, and moved to Columbus and got in touch with Rabbi Misha Zinko, who was actually my camp director of Camp Swig when I was there. So we kind of, reconnected, and it was so much fun. And he was the director of Hillel at OSU, and so we started doing services at OSU Hillel together, and then we created a community-wide kind of an alternative minyan, drums and different types of liturgy, non-denominational, and it was great. And he then became senior rabbi at Temple Israel in Columbus, and he brought me with him and started working, leading services and doing religious school things and song leading, and it was fantastic, while all at the same time song leading at Camp Newman and just continuing to do it. And we wrote music, and they helped, I wrote music for a first album, and Josh Nelson produced it back in 2008, and it was great. Like, one of my songs, Rock and Redeemer, made the Ruach, I think 5769, and that became a huge hit. And, it just all started to develop. I started to realize I was making an impact, and I didn't even know it, both on a community level and a national level. And no matter how big or small it was, somebody was touched, and it inspired someone. And if it inspires someone, then I'm doing something right. So I just kind of fell in love with it, and I got to Denver. This is a great congregation here. They never really had a cantorial figure. They never had anything. And so I came in here as, really as a song leader, jumping into a cantorial role, because I'd done High Holidays, and I studied in Columbus a lot with Donnie Massing, who was the artist in residence, and Donnie was a huge role model and position as just a song leader, somebody who comes in on Friday nights, but someone who is on a clergy level working with rabbis, someone who they can go to for counseling and to be bedside with them, and it's really a tremendous thing. So because I focus so much on my community here, which I don't regret even a little, my I don't get to tour nearly as much as, say, a full-time musician like Mikey would, or other things like that, and that's kind of been my journey, and I love it.
Wow.
It's a lot of information, but that's that.
Wow, man. I'm happy for you, dog.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
You know, I say that because, like, I like how you, at each step of the way, you trust your heart to move forward. You know, like when you said to me, I found out that I actually like doing this stuff. And I was surrounded by people who nurtured me along the way. And through those, you know, people beginning at, I guess, Stephen S. Wise and at camp, and then out to Columbus, and then, you know, finding the right people to sort of nurture that journey, and then you embracing, obviously, you know, the role of a much more significant role rather than like a song leader. You're really invested, it sounds like, in the community now.
Yeah, it's a very cool thing. You know, there's the difference. And remember what I told you. You know, way back in the day, it was community based. It was, and then it became music based. And really, over the last few years, I mean, it's really developing that relationship with God and trusting in God and realizing that, well, really, what you're bringing is not only inspiration through music, but helping people to create a stronger relationship in their faith and identity and their relationship with God. And that is, it's the most priceless thing anyone could ever do, because it gives people faith. That's what music does. It's just another medium. It's just another outlet to give people that faith to become stronger, to move forward. I just wrote a new song, hasn't been released or recorded, and called Faith, and it's all about when you're not sure of your direction. So the lyrics are some of the lyrics are, you know, when you need direction, when you need a plan, when we question and when we take a stand. Our faith is what gives us our drive and what keeps us on our journey. And that was what was always missing until, I would say, 6-7 years ago. And it all just came together. And it's God's center point. So, yeah.
You know, this is great. I mean, I have so many conflicting pieces. I mean, to tease out some of the things of your background, or actually jump in on this. And I think I'm going to jump in on this. This sounds really interesting. And because for me, too, after 30 years of being a cantor and building a cantorial school in New York, and training clergy to do exactly what you just described, to be able to be like the conduit via the music, let's say if you're a cantor, or otherwise if you're a rabbi, to be able to be the conduit to allow people to discover their own connection to a higher power, to feeling something greater than themselves. And so my question to you is, and I think you were about to say it, it was so interesting. Tell me about your sensibility of how music does that.
So being clergy, or being a musician, or being someone with even a little bit of influence in the Jewish world, first of all, it's a privilege to be in the positions that we are. People rely on us. People trust us. Or they don't, and that's okay too, because it's all about questioning. I mean, that's what everything is based upon. And music, as I said, is the medium. We are lucky enough to have been able to create a platform, and that's really what we have. It's our strongest tool. Our faith and our belief and what we preach then is provided on that platform, and people can choose to do whatever they want to do with that. and create whatever they want to create in their Judaism to become stronger and to create that direction. And I admire people because it's a scary thing. Prayer, faith is scary. How can one necessarily, who doesn't have a relationship with God, believe somebody that says, well, we're doing these prayers to praise God, and so it's that platform just to help people inch their way closer. And whether it's through clergy or whether it's through music, that's the way to do it. When children can listen to this new, inspiring music that sounds like anything you would hear on the radio, now providing lyrics of, Kiroshim Tihu Ki Kadosh Ani Adonai Elohechem. Now all of a sudden they're taking things that are relevant recreationally, and now taking it and bringing it into their spiritual souls. And that is the most incredible thing in the world.
Tell me about that process. That is interesting. I really like taking it into their souls. How do you do that?
It's a hard thing to do. I am a very firm believer. And that's why, in a way, I've almost had to make a choice in my own career of community or full-time touring. There's a difference between being physically present and really being present. And when you have people, no matter where you go, even if you are a touring artist, you have to create that connection. So when you're performing in front of 200-300 people, it's really one-on-one. You're reaching out to each individual specifically, and you're doing it all at once. So they need to be able to create that connection, but it's all about trust. If they trust and believe in what you're trying to convey to them, they've now opened up their spiritual soul to finally let you in. And if you're not present, people are not stupid. And I really believe that. A lot of people, people do stupid things, but they're not stupid. They'll know when you're a phony. They'll know when you're fake. The whole part of this is being genuine, and people will believe it. They'll believe it. They know when you're speaking from here or speaking from here or singing from there. And it's a gift. And it's a gift. So that's how, and I can't tell you exactly how I do that because I don't really know how I do it. I just do my best to do it because it's genuine.
What does it feel like for you? This is great. This is amazing because this is the stuff, as a cantor for 30 years, I'm watching the cantor contract as synagogue budgets get slashed and cantors' jobs get reduced or eliminated. At a time when the synagogue needs to imagine new things, they're cutting the source of a community that offers the possibility, as you put it, of, helping people reimagine their highest selves, connecting to high spirit and becoming larger. And so, which would obviously help the Jewish community. So what is it like for you to go to that space? What does it feel like for you? I know we're going to that kind of intangible talk. That's the talk which I believe the Jewish world needs to hear. That's what I believe the cantors are bringing. That's what I believe you're bringing. So what does that actually feel like for you to go to that place of deep connection to God?
It's incredibly powerful. It's emotional. It's sometimes when you have that moment, and I can't even tell you what that moment is. It's just that moment where, and you know what, I have that moment. I can actually tell you exactly what it is. On High Holy Days, here on Yom Kippur morning, we do double services here. And so there's 1,500 people in each service. And there's a moment, and the choir is singing, and the piano is playing, and there's big liturgy. And then there's that moment for silence. And it doesn't seem routine anymore, and people are in their own little world. And I do a piece, and it's just me and my guitar, doing Craig Taubman's L'Adore Vador. And it's one of those moments where everyone just forgets where they are, what they're doing, but they're engulfed in this prayer and this moment of intense emotion. When I'm done with that, tears almost run down my face because everybody is just sitting there watching. Kids are not lying down sleeping. People aren't talking to one another. They're fixated. They're focused. And it's emotional. It is to have people, and I mean this in only the best of ways, to have people like that in the palm of your hand is the most incredible feeling in the world, because you're helping them forget about everything and focus on what's truly important. And whatever goes through their minds, it's them. People don't get to do that often. People don't get to just take that step back and focus on themselves. And that moment, it happens. So that is that moment. And it's creating the ability to do that, to forget about everything and focus on you and what you're doing in that specific moment. And that you are important to that moment, because without you, we're one person short. I know that's cliche, but it's true. And it's the most amazing. I have no idea if that just answered your question. I kind of just veered off into my own world, but it's the greatest feeling in the world. It is so emotional and completely reaffirms my faith and why I want to do this with my life. That it's not just about being a performer. It's actually not about being a performer at all. That's just a platform for education and spirituality and emotion and belief and love. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting a little choked up just thinking about it because I don't talk about it often, you know? It's just so powerful. It's cool, you know, I believe in this music. I really believe in it. I believe in the words, I believe in the melodies, I believe in the spirituality, I believe in the inspiration. Not just my music, but with my colleagues as well. I just believe in it. And hopefully other people will believe in it too. It's a message that needs to be sent. You know, and there are all kinds of people out there trying to do this. And my hope is that people continue to do it for the right reasons.
Yeah, this is good. This is an interesting idea. First of all, I mean, just so you know me, when I'm quiet, I'm like, there's like 13 different things jumping in my brain, and my heart is kind of still now to be able to deeply receive the power of what you said, because I resonate deeply with it. I just want to let you know.
Thank you.
And that was, you know, it's glorious the way you went there, and it's glorious the trip you took me on, and I've been there with you, and you know, over the 30 years. The last piece was really interesting. I really love what you said. You said, I believe in the music. I believe in, you know, its message. And so talk to me about the messages that you hope your music conveys that are needed out there.
It's a great question. Again, it all goes back to that platform. It goes back to Judaism is cool. I mean, religion is cool. People are so afraid of God. They're so afraid. That's why people go and choose soccer over religious school.
Well, that's interesting.
People are afraid. Our synagogue here, for 45 years, did religious school on Shabbat. And this year, starting in a month, less than a month now, we're switching to Sunday mornings. It breaks my heart. And people are just afraid. And if this music and the lyrics and the text, Donnie Mossang said something to me. I'll never forget it. It was my first High Holy Days on the pulpit. And it was with him. So of course I'm, slightly intimidated. But he said, how do you feel? And I said, I'm nervous. He goes, why? What if I mess up? He said, who cares? I'm nervous too. And I said, you? Really? You're nervous? He goes, of course. This is bigger than us. This is bigger than us. How could you not be? And I kept that with me. That is not just High Holy Days. Every little bit of this is bigger than us. And what does that mean? I'm not sure. But that it's important. And I don't want people to be afraid of spirituality or afraid of welcoming Judaism, whether it's cultural, prayer, or liturgical, or text-based, or anything, into their lives. It's that idea of, I want people just to give it a shot. Give it a shot. And listen, if you don't like it, you never have to do it again, which would stink. But give it a shot, because I know you will. And and if you truly believe in that statement, and you truly believe that it's bigger than you, then other people are going to believe in it too. It's that confidence in it. It's the true, genuine belief in it. And that's my hope, is that these lyrics and this music and the whole outline idea, people will see its genuine nature and want to become a part of it too. And want to become a part of that chain that, and I know this is cliche again, but that chain that we're all holding, going back to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, that if one person decided this was not important, V'shinantan levanecha is just gone, we would not be standing here today. Become a part of the chain. And hey, that may be a new song idea. I mean, who knows? And that's why it's important. I don't want people to be afraid. A rabbi's sermon should never be, I'm the rabbi, listen to me. I know more than you. It should be a platform for helping people to think. Helping people to create their own identity from the words. And that's what music does. That's what music can do. I hate it when people come up to me and say, God, your voice is just so beautiful. But when they say, your voice is so nice, it just took me to a different place, that's incredible. Because I don't focus on how beautiful my voice is. Whether it is or not, it's the fact that they were transformed. And they weren't really talking about me, they were talking about themselves. I mean, does it get any better? Ever? No. That's it. And that's the key. Helping people in that platform That's my hope.
I had two questions. I lost them as I was continuing to be present and listening to you.
Sorry, I'm blabbing.
Well, no, this is really, really important. Blabbing would be something that would perhaps be, more like the weather and what you have for dinner. But this feels like ultimate truths, and I think that's really the key. You were talking about this great image of like, if I show up authentically and honestly, it gives people the feeling that they too can show up in that same space and go on the journey with me as I start to interface with something higher and higher and see that there's something greater than myself. They can feel, which is that moment of transformation that you were just recognizing, that sometimes gets expressed to you after you perform, quote unquote, or share. They too can feel that they are part of something greater than themselves. So here's one question. I was kind of repeating it so I can get back to the question. What are the experiences that have been there in your life that have connected to something greater than yourself?
What are some of the experiences that have connected me to something greater than myself?
Yeah, and can you tell me about those stories? I mean, it was clear. Like, I'm so curious. I mean, I don't know if you need to be helped along, but in my mind, I was like, all right. So tell me these people about Stephen Wise and about that one person who one rabbi and then another individual who sort of nourished you and nurtured you.
Yeah.
Tell me about, maybe it was the people along the journey, maybe it was other people. The greatest influences that helped you see that there's a larger picture, a larger perspective, and opened your heart in new ways. Obviously, Donnie Massing did when he looked at you and said, I'm nervous. That was great. He's like saying, he goes, we're in this together, man, but we both have to reach for the, to express ourselves on that level, which is so like, it takes you out of the immediate moment. It diffuses the anxiety of performing and says, well, why am I really in this? What's my intention that's propelling me forward that I can see beyond my own nervousness, beyond my own anxiety? So, for me, it was going to that church in Colorado in the national park and saying, oh my God, every Saturday, the people who sit in these pews get to look at a 14,000-foot mountain. And me being in Telluride on 10,000 feet and living there for 10 days, had that blessing one day, way back, I would walk up and I would see moose. I would see herds of moose going down a mountainside as the dawn was breaking in the mist, and looking up and seeing a mountain saying, God is in this place.
Yeah.
It's too majestic. It's too big to imagine that, it just reminded me of God and nature. Just reminded me of something larger.
Well, it's really funny because it's that text, that's the text of what sent me on my way.
All right, talk to me about that.
It's the idea of something that God is in this place. I mean, how could I not realize that something so amazing could happen? You're gonna laugh, but
I'm not laughing, man.
This is actually kind of funny.
Oh.
I mean, my place is Dodger Stadium. That's what I'm saying.
Holy ground. I'm feeling it.
It is. I love it more than anything. Vin Scully is as close to the epitome of light, of the best thing in life. That my Zeta listened to him, my grandpa listened to him, my dad listened to him, I listened to him. I don't know if he's ever going to make it for my future child to listen to him, but I pray he's eternal, and unfortunately he's not. But it's that place, going in, the sights, the smells, the little kids with their parents, and guys on, making millions of dollars to play a game and going out there, and it is, it's unbelievable. That and Ohio State football. I mean, I think sports just transcends this. People, this is their lives. In Denver, if the Broncos lose, Mondays, you can tell what type of Monday it is. I mean, it's just the way that it is. And the last couple weeks or month or so, I have been so happy because the Dodgers have just been off the charts. And look, even in Los Angeles, I'm sure this is a huge part of conversation pieces, what the Dodgers are doing. Yasiel Puig and all of this is incredible. Walking into Dodger Stadium was the moment that is bigger than myself, because there is just this euphoric feeling that you cannot describe of happiness. Eating an all-beef kosher Dodger dog.
Oh yeah.
Best. A great way to describe this. Every single March, my dad and I go to spring training down in Glendale.
Wow.
We go see the Dodgers, and beforehand, you can walk all around the grounds and you can see, the player. I mean, really up close. And he saw Manny Mota. He saw Tommy Lasorda. And this is a grown man galloping and skipping like he is 11 to go chase and battle a 9-year-old for a foul ball. I swear, this man would have drop-kicked this child to go get that ball and to go have Tommy sign it.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me that doesn't transcend? I used to get pretty upset when people would come up to me and say, why don't you, I don't know any of your melodies. Why don't you do, the Sulzer this or the, that I don't know along, the one I grew up with. Well, and of course, sarcastically my response was, oh, you mean the one that Moses created up at Sinai, right? That one. Yeah, that one. I'm like, oh, God. Okay. But then I began to dig a little bit deeper and get over myself a little bit, and thinking that they are just asking for a connection. That's all they're doing. It's not about me or what I choose. They want to remember the good old days. So Dodger Stadium is that, because it doesn't matter if I haven't been there now in a few years. It's my home. That's my home. And so when I talk to, say, Rabbi Rabashaw, he's my home. I mean, I haven't seen the man now in probably 15 years. He is my rabbi. Nate Lamb is my cantor. He will always be my cantor. And Alan will always be my rabbi. No one will ever take that away from me.
So tell me about these figures. Tell me about what they were like for you, how they touched you.
It's very hard to answer because I was so young and I don't remember. I was such a different person. But I do remember them. I remember Nate, my buddy sang in his choir. And so there is that family connection, and he knew exactly who I was all the time. And and he said to me last year, looked at me and said, "You're going to be huge. You don't know it yet. You're going to be one of the great ones."
Amen. Amen.
And to hear that from Nate is, one of the most powerful things. He officiated, with 5 other rabbis, my wedding. I mean,
oh, that's lovely.
And my wife had never heard him sing before. And he's, he's the guy that can barely open his mouth and glory will come out. And, it's my cousins who are as secular as they come. Identify with being Jewish, but have nothing to do with Judaism at all. And they've been in trouble in their lives and, a long path to recovery, who would come to me and randomly, just as a joke, go, Tov lehodot, Tov lehodot, Tov lehodot Adonai.
Bum, 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 bum.
And they remember that from my bar mitzvah service. They remember Nate singing that. This was 18 years ago.
Yeah. Something
and
touched
what
them.
was even more incredible was that they said the words correctly. I mean, that just blew me out of the water. And so, the fact that these guys, and then they asked, what does it mean? I said, well, Tov lehodo Adonai, it's good to give thanks to God. And that helped change their life and turn their life around a little bit.
Wow.
Just at one time. And so, that's what these guys did. That's the inspiration. They have no connection to synagogue, no connection. They haven't stepped foot in a synagogue since my sister's bat mitzvah, which was 14 years ago. Yet they remember that. I had a great conversation with Alan Rabishan not too long ago, and it's like we didn't miss a beat. And that's so I don't remember a lot of what went on back then, but I know that they were special enough for me to continue on a relationship for this long, and that I'm proud to call them my rabbi and my cantor. Yeah.
It sounds like a lot of the experiences that you held with them and others, you are transmitting now to your community. That the feelings of, obviously they value you, they include you, they, they recognize their unique relationship that you had, and the times in their life when they, were there with you as you went through your bar mitzvah and your wedding, and that was meaningful to them watching you grow. Their investment in you sounds like as much an investment as you were in them. So is that what's happening now with you and your community?
Yeah.
Talk to me about those relationships, and do they occur, within the synagogue or mostly outside of the synagogue, or?
A lot of it's inside the synagogue, and outside, to know you're an accepted part of their community, because this is not my community, I just serve it. It's their community, and whatever they want, they get. They deserve. And
what do they? What are they calling for? What do people look for today?
They want to be inspired. They want participation. They want to own it. I think they want to own it. We do a very good job in this congregation of that. So, if kids want to sing, you start a youth choir. You start a teen choir. You do an adult choir. You give them concerts. You bring in artists. You give them that platform. And if one doesn't work, it doesn't work. And then you don't do it again. But if something is, I really truly believe we have, synagogue-wise, one of the strongest contemporary Jewish music programs in the country.
Oh, I love that.
And I am proud of it. I am so proud of it.
Let me hear it, man. I want to hear it. Tell me about it.
Well, we have 3 different music groups. We have a youth choir of about 25 kids, grades 1 through 5, and they sing on family services, and it's great. We have a teen choir, about 30 kids, grades 6 through 12, and
wow.
That's what people wow the most, is the fact that these kids want to be here doing that. And
why is
we
that?
Have a little. Say that again.
How did you pull that off?
Interpersonal relationship, my friend. That's it. It's interpersonal relationship.
What does that look like? You got to
they trust you, and they know that you care about them. They're going to do whatever you want them to do. because they believe in you. They trust in you. So if I say jump, they'll jump. Why? Because everything will be okay, and they might like it. I don't force anything upon anybody. I say to them exactly what I told you. Come join us. If you don't like it, you never have to do it again. But I know you're going to like it. Kind of like onions.
That's great.
I mean, but you may not like it. And if they don't like it, I'm not going to force it upon them. But at least they gave it the shot, and that's all that matters. So, I mean...
So what's that energy? I know I'm cutting you off because this is great. You don't get 30 kids in the teen choir. And you have this, I mean, I'm really sensing this generosity of spirit where you're like, it's a warm invitation. It's not force-fed. Yeah. What is the energy like in the group while you're singing, while you're practicing the music, and while you're performing it? How do you describe that?
They want to be a part of it. They get that it's bigger. They just want to be a part of it.
Got it.
They like being around their friends. And it's just another way to do it. It's just like youth group, but it's this way. And it's through music, and if they like to sing, it's really, really cool. I mean, so the energy's incredible, and they own it. They want to be a part of it.
Got it.
I'm just now there to lead them along, the right way. So we have a 40-person adult choir here.
Wow.
Which is incredible.
That's enormous.
Yeah, they sing on festivals. We do an interfaith Thanksgiving service. Sing High Holy Days, obviously. And it's really great. We do a summer courtyard concert series in our courtyard. So last year we had Noah Aronson and Mikey. This year we had Saul Kay and Todd Herzog. And my band performed a little bit, and it was great. We do a big concert every single year called Shirenu, which showcases so on our bima, which is kind of a long bima, we have all of our music groups. We have 120 volunteers on this bima. I brought in an 18-piece orchestra.
Wow.
And we do secular music, we do Jewish music, and we showcase. We had 700 people here last year.
Is that? Wait a second.
That's what we're about. Is that?
So you're building. I mean, I'm just looking at the sheer numbers. You have so many people engaged in the musical life of that community that is supported by the entire community, that is valued by that this 700 people showed up.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable. You're right, by the way. Those numbers, just, thinking about all the denominations, all in terms of the demographics of the different groups that you pulled together. And I would love to see your stuff in action. I'm like...
Well, I'll tell you what. Shabbat Shirah weekend. We do it on Shabbat Shirah. So, January 11th, come on out here.
How cool would that be?
Please do. I'd love to have you. It's we usually bring in a guest artist. I don't know who we're going to bring in, but we'll bring someone in. It'll be great. And please come and see it in action, because it is really extraordinary. Unlike anything I have ever seen one synagogue do. And it's a very special moment. They you know what? They believed in it. They believe in it. And they believe in me leading them in that way. And it's priceless. And that's what I want to give them. It's the gift, and it's theirs.
That's exactly it. It's so beautifully said. So right on the money. People want to believe in something that's important to them, that's greater than themselves, to make a difference. And you are giving them that opportunity.
Right.
And then at the same time, what's really beautiful, Bryan? That at the same time in which you're creating it, you pull back ego-wise. In all of these conversations, it's like, it's not about, look at what I've done to blah, blah, blah. It's all about, it's so great that your investment in having them own, using your word, that moment is so powerful as to what that moment represents when people come together and create music and practice music and share it with themselves and what that holds for a community. I am so curious. I don't know if you've had this. You've told me that you've been there a couple years, right?
I've been here. I'm in the middle of my 5th year.
Okay, 5th year. That's a good chunk of time. So, you know what I would love to be? I'd love to be a fly on the wall, reading all of the notes, the feedback that you receive from the community over the years and the ways that, as you put it before, have transformed them. Are there any notes that specifically talk about what that experience has meant for them? Because, or is there anything that, because that's the language that we need to send to the Jewish people. People think, and here's why I'm saying this, people think that, you're a cantor, or, I would call you you are a cantor in terms of being the conduit. And so people who are like these soulful conduits to allow for these greater experiences to occur, what are the responses of the people in your community? What have they been?
Mikey's back in the room now. So,
Mikey's in the house.
What's up?
I don't know how to answer that question. Because let me just say they're not complaining and not saying anything bad anymore. And I take that as the biggest compliment there is. When they're not complaining and they're satisfied, Jews are satisfied. I mean, we need to be realistic here. That's a lot bigger than it sounds.
Yeah, well, no, that's a novelty. I like it.
I think people I love the word transcend. And a lot of people have used the word transcending. We've transcended to this place that, that maybe this became that place that they didn't know God was in. And maybe they don't say it, but I know some people that this is, on that Shirenu concert night was big, way bigger. They expect to see it. They expect it at the Colorado Symphony. They expect it when they go to a show. They don't expect it here. So when they get this here, it's just combined happiness with surprise, with a mixture of emotions that they just don't know how to describe. And so if they don't know how to say the words, I think that's amazing. So
you can see it on their faces, right? You could feel it. You could feel it.
Totally. And if people come back, that's the biggest compliment of it all. That's what tells me things are going in the right direction.
Yeah. So 700 people told you that you're going in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, before I got here, and I'm not saying that I'm the reason, because we are a great team here. My senior rabbi is one of the most remarkable human beings I've ever met. And
talk to me about that relationship. What's it like to create with him?
I admire this man as if he were my father. I mean, he is incredible. He's inspired me so tremendously to want to grow, and he's pushed me to want to grow. And
he values you.
He does, and I value him. And you being a cantor, you know that that is not always easy.
Yes.
Be able to work with your rabbinic partner and put egos aside and be able to just do what's for the greater good. And we do that with one another. I get him and he gets me. And we trust each other. And, so before I got here, we had 30 people coming to Erev Shabbat services. Consistently, we have 150 to 200 now.
Wow.
which of course I'm like, why don't we have 250? But and that's good. That means we created regulars to want to come. It was what I said about presence again. We can be physically here, but that doesn't mean anything. We need to be present. And when they know we are present, spiritually, emotionally, for them, they're going to keep coming.
This is interesting because, without authenticity, you can never build trust. That's what we were talking about earlier. Right. So I'm so curious, and if it gets too personal, just let me know. But what are the indicators for yourself that you're speaking from a place of truth? How do you know you're authentic, and when do you know that you're inauthentic? Because we can't be that way all the time. But what helps you get there most of the time? What grounds you to find that place?
You don't have to try.
All right, that's good.
I mean, you believe in what you say. That's the true definition of being genuine. If you're genuine, you're trying, and if you're trying, you're not genuine.
I get it.
Right? I mean, I want my congregants to know that if they call me at 2:30 in the morning because their loved one is dying, that I will be there for them by 3:30. It's that simple. That's why and then take it to a music level, that if they want to call me, or they want advice, or that in that moment we have to take advantage of that moment that we talked about before. And that's that short-term trust and long-term trust.
Yes.
Yes. And it's almost like memory, short-term memory and long-term memory. But and that's why I do love congregational life. So I've thought about my journey. I've thought about what it is truly that I want to do with my life and how I want to do it. Spent all this time focusing on everyone else, really, except for myself. And this has been really difficult. You founding a cantorial school. I mean, you've experienced stories like this countless times. You've seen it. You've seen people trying to find their way. You've seen people trying to find their journey. And in the last year, I've been doing a lot of that, a lot of soul searching. What is it exactly that I want? What is exactly where I want to go? And, if you don't mind hearing a little story, if you have a moment about...
Dude, this is amazing. I'm loving it.
The one thing I will ask, though, is that this part of the conversation goes off the record completely.
Yes, it will be. And by the way, anything that will ultimately be shared on the site will be confirmed by you.
Okay, well, this is majorly off the record, because I feel strangely comfortable with you, so...
Well, I feel honored.
I know, he is like that. It's great. So, I decided that the cantorate last year may not be the direction for me.
Mm-hmm.
For a number of reasons of what we discussed before. I love the cantorate. I think it's an incredibly powerful, amazing thing. But not all congregations believe it. And not all rabbis let it happen. And that's not a risk with my career I may be willing to take. Because, unfortunately, you got to take care of number one. So last year I decided, I want to apply to the rabbinate. I want to go to HUC. This is my direction. And this is what calls me. I love teaching. I love everything, but I'm not guaranteed that I'm going to be able to do that in my life unless I become a rabbi. And I love the rabbinate also. I think they're both the most incredible things in the entire world. The best jobs. They're not even jobs. It's the best everything. Both being a cantor and a rabbi. And so here I am. I've had music as the staple of my life. And I've always been pretty successful in what I do. And so I was actually at AJR in California for a year studying with Nate. And it was great. And that's how we really got our relationship even stronger. And I was traveling to California every Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, every week, while keeping a very full-time job here.
Wow.
And remember what I said to you about presence. Everyone knew. I wasn't present for my wife. I wasn't present for my community. It was really tough. And so I had to stop. It just was not right. And so I'm like, HUC just started this cantorial certification program. A lot of it's online. I was going to do it, and then said something's not right. I'm going to apply to be a rabbi. This is what I think my true besheret is, my true path, where music can still be a gigantic piece. Gigantic piece. And so I applied to rabbinic school and was rejected.
Are you serious?
Hmm?
Dude, you are whoever rejected you, I'm going to, like, they're lost. There must be a place for you because you are beyond spiritual.
So let me,
College. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I shouldn't be here, but
No, that's fine. Of course, Mikey, I know. I know this is confidential.
I'm not going to say anything.
Of course. During my interview, I wasn't myself.
Ah.
I wanted to hear. I wanted to say what I thought they wanted to hear.
Yeah.
So everything that I've been telling you about being genuine and who I am, I tried. You know what I mean? I tried to be someone different. And they called bullshit. And they were right. They weren't wrong. I would have